So, most people don't know how I met my vocal instructor, Dr. Shelton, because almost no one knows that I had a major vocal injury. It's not something that I really talked about much, but a lot of the advice that I now give about warming up and pacing yourself comes from a pretty traumatic experience I had where I almost lost part of my voice forever. Almost everyone out there has lost their voice due to overuse, at least once in their lives. Maybe you were at a baseball game and shouted all day long, or maybe you're a singer who sang too loudly for too long and woke up with a swollen throat. This happens because your voice box is basically just a series of muscles and ligaments, and much like when you work out at the gym, you can work your muscles to the point of strain or even damage. Maybe you've had the experience of doing too many bench presses during your workout and then your chest is like sore and tight and it's hard to move for the next couple of days. That's more or less what's happening in your throat. Unlike the muscles in your arms, legs, and chest, your throat has vocal cords which vibrate together to form sound. These cords are stretched and moved into place by a bunch of other supporting muscles in your throat. So if those muscles get overused, infected, or damaged and they swell up, they can't move as well. That means that your voice will sound more rough, there'll be more mucus produced to try to coat the area, and you won't be as agile or accurate when trying to sing specific pitches. Outside of muscle fatigue, there's another danger that can happen from overuse, and it's much worse than simple sore muscles. So we have these vocal cords in our throat and they vibrate together, but they don't really strongly touch each other. It's more or less just sort of a very light, kind of momentary point of contact when they vibrate together. However, if you sing incorrectly or if you strain a lot while you're singing, this can cause those vocal cords to slam into each other and grind against each other. Now, here's the thing. Those vocal cords are basically stretchy rubber bands in your throat, and they do not have nerve endings. You can't feel them. So if they're swollen or damaged, or if they're grinding into each other, you won't feel any pain. You can sing incorrectly and not know it until it's too late. Too late almost happened to me. You see, when the vocal cords repeatedly slam and grind into each other over and over again, it can create a callus. Now, if you play guitar, this is the exact same thing that's happening to your fingers from pressing on the strings over and over again. They get rough and hardened. That's good for playing guitar, but absolutely horrible for singing. Those calluses, or nodules as they're called when they happen in the throat, can be permanent and require extremely delicate throat surgery to remove. Any singer who just heard the words throat surgery should immediately recoil, because the slightest mistake during surgery means that you will never, ever sing again. That's terrifying. So, how did this happen to me? Well, in my early 30s, I started to notice that it was getting harder and harder to make it through a set, or even through practice, while still hitting all the high notes. I hadn't had a vocal instructor in many years, and metal was kind of a new genre to me still, so I sort of just continued to push through it. I would physically stress my voice to keep hitting those high notes near the end of a set, and I would notice fatigue setting in after multiple shows in a row. Now, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but we had a number of back-to-back performances that I sort of pushed through, and afterwards my voice was pretty sore for a few days. After a week of rest, it was still hoarse, and I noticed that there was an audible gap in my upper range. Basically, I could sing all the notes up through about G4, so I just go up, and then when I hit like G sharp through B4, that basically disappeared. I'd try to sing those notes and nothing came out. It was like they were just missing. It was like there was a hole in my range. This continued for like a month, and that's when I knew something was up. It had never taken this long to recover my voice before, and I was terrified. I mean, being a singer is like like who I am. If I couldn't sing, I wouldn't know what the hell to do, honestly. I had heard stories about people getting nodules, and I was frankly worried that I had done the same. So I scheduled an appointment with an ENT, an ear, nose, throat doctor, and I had them shove a camera down my throat. It wasn't until much later that I found out why this was happening to me in my 30s. During my 20s, I was hitting those notes with no problems, and I hadn't really changed anything in my technique during that time. Well, it turns out that male bodies don't really finish completely maturing until somewhere around 28 to 32 years old, at least as far as testosterone production is concerned. And much like the first puberty we all went through, the change in hormone levels as you age directly affects your voice. Dr. Shelton did part of his research on this, and for many singers, there's a real noticeable change in the flavor of your voice between the mid-20s and the early 30s. It definitely happened to me. My voice got a little heavier and a bit more robust, and I wasn't quite as agile on the high notes as I'd once been. Since I didn't understand how to use good technique with this new voice of mine, I ended up straining and pushing, which ultimately ended up with me having a camera shoved through my nose and down my throat. While getting a camera shoved down my throat was interesting, it's something I would avoid if you can. It's definitely not an overly pleasant experience. The camera showed that I had damaged my vocal cords, but the callus hadn't fully hardened over yet. The doctor said that if I stayed nearly silent for like 3 to 4 months, there was a chance that the callus would just dissipate on its own without needing surgery. So for the next few months, there were no shows and limited practices. I stopped talking at work, I stopped yelling or key-opping during Taekwondo practice, and I tried to use my voice as little as humanly possible. It was scary and something that was weighing constantly on my mind. I had no idea if I had damaged my voice forever and would never be able to sing again. As you can probably guess, I was extremely lucky, and the silent treatment worked. The callus went away, and I immediately searched for and found a great singing instructor. As I've worked with Dr. Shelton, I've gained a greater appreciation for the care and handling of this very delicate instrument that we all carry around with us. It would be fabulous if I could just take out my voice box at the end of the night and put it in a case to keep it safe for the next show, but unfortunately, it gets exposed to everything I do. Allergens, germs, smoke, smog, alcohol, you name it. That's why I've been very vocal, if you'll excuse the pun, about learning to sing correctly and doing it early in your career. I don't want any of you out there to have to go through the same horrible, terrifying experience that I did. So to that end, Dr. Shelton and I have been working with Spectre Academy to put together a singing course to teach everyone out there how to sing effectively and healthily no matter what style you sing. But of course, good singing is only half the equation to putting on a good show. So the course also covers everything you need to know to be a good performer as well. I teach you how to fake charisma, how to craft effective stage banter, good stage moves, and more. The course is over 5 hours long, and we are launching it today. There's a special sale going on right now, so if you want to learn to sing better for longer and actually take care of your voice so that you can make it through a month-long tour, check the course out. There's links in the description. I know it's going to turn you all into better singers and better performers. Thanks for watching. Please, please take care of your voice. We'll see you next time.